Happy Earth Day, everyone, and welcome to today's online programming. My name is Mary Ann Wright, and I'm a 4-H area educator for Lincoln University Cooperative Extension. Let's begin by saying the 4-H pledge. I pledge my head to clear thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living, for my club, my community, my country, and my world. Thank you very much. Like I mentioned, today is Earth Day, and so we are celebrating with others around the world in getting outdoors and really celebrating everything about nature, about recycling, about really preserving and protecting the earth. So today we are going to get outside and explore our own backyards, see all the beauty there, and we're going to bring some of the outdoors in by making some sun catchers that we can hang in our windows and really brighten up our room. So we are actually going to be making two different types of sun catchers today, and both of them require very little in supplies, and I'm hoping you have at least one of the projects at home so you can complete this with us. So for the first sun catcher, you're going to need a plastic lid. Now this is a lid that comes on a variety of things like a yogurt container, maybe a hot chocolate canister, anything that has a thin plastic lid that you can use. You will need one of these. You'll also need some plain clear school glue, and then a hole punch and some thread. Now for our second project, you're going to also be using the hole punch and thread, but you'll also need some contact paper. And contact paper is a type of paper that is sticky on one side. A lot of people use this to line shelves and things like that. It comes in a variety of colors, but you're going to want the clear version for this project today. You'll also need a pen and a pair of scissors to complete that second sun catcher. And then we have our most important supply, and that is our fresh things, our fresh plants and flowers out of our yard. So I want you to go and explore what's in your backyard, see if you can find different types of plants. I went out this morning and I was really drawn to anything that was colorful. It caught my eye, and that's what I wanted to include in my sun catchers. So I just grabbed all of these and I brought them in. Now the very first thing you're going to do is start to identify what types of plants that you have. And if you didn't plant them, if they're just growing wild in your yard, you might not know what they are. So you might have to do some research. So go ahead and take some time to see what these plants are. Maybe see what plants are native to your area. So we have dogwoods that are in full bloom here in southeast Missouri. And so maybe you can find a dogwood bloom that you can use. I looked and I saw lots of purple in my yard. I had some violets growing in my yard. So those come in a variety of different colors. So I have a darker one and a lighter one there. I also found another pretty purple flower. So I believe this is periwinkle. And I bet you can find some dandelions. There are dandelions popping up everywhere. And then I also wanted to include some green. So there's lots of clover, so I bet you can find some clover or another type of ground covering to use for some color in your sun catcher. So ready to get started? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your lid here and you're going to put it face up. So you want that lid, that lip, to be pointing up. So it kind of makes a really shallow bowl there, because we're going to pour our glue inside of this lid. Now you just want it to be a pretty thin layer of glue, so don't go crazy. You can always add more glue, but you do not want to overflow this. It'll make a big mess. So you spread that glue around until it's completely covered. If you need to add a little bit more, you can, but just take your time letting that go all the way around your lid so you have one thin layer of glue around the whole thing. Now once you do this, it's time to pick out what plants you want to use in your sun catcher. And when we place these, we want them to be as flat as possible. So if you have some time, just go ahead and put the plants inside of a book or in between a couple of books to flatten those out. You can also just flatten them on a table by pressing them, but you want them to be as flat as possible when you lay them in the glue. So take some time for that, and it's okay if your glue is just sitting there already. It's not going to dry. This takes a really long time to dry, so don't worry about it drying out. Go ahead and pour that glue so you have that first step done. The next step, after you flatten your plants and your flowers a bit, is to add them to your glue. So I've started that process here. I've added my flower from my dogwood there. I've added some clover. And I'm just going to keep going until I get it exactly how I want my sun catcher to look. Then I'm going to let this dry. And it takes several days for it to dry, this first step. So just set it aside, put it somewhere where it's not going to get disturbed, and just let it set. And maybe check on it after 2 days. After 2 days, if you touch the glue really lightly with your finger and your finger comes away clean, you know you're ready for your next step. If it comes away with a little bit of glue on it, you know it still needs to keep drying, so just let it sit there for another day or so. But when you're ready for the next step, what you're going to do is you're going to take your glue again, and you're going to add another layer of glue on top of your plants and your flowers. So again, be careful pouring, but you're basically going to encase your flower and your plants in glue. So there's glue on all sides of it. No air is getting to your plant. So you're going to do that, and again, you're going to let it dry. And it's going to take a really long time to do this. So I started off this weekend with a sample to see if this was going to work, and I learned a lot by doing this. It's the first time I had done this project. And at 4-H, we definitely learn by doing here. And so I learned a lot of different tips here. And the most important one was actually letting it dry completely. But once it does, the glue will start coming off from around the edge of your lid, and you'll know it's ready to peel out. So I went ahead and I peeled this off of my lid. So you see it's still flexible here. It's not stiff, but my flowers are now encased in this glue. And so now it's ready to hang in our window. So all you have to do is punch a hole with your hole punch, or if you don't have a hole punch, you could just do that with a pin or something like that, and then put a piece of thread on it, or if you don't have thread, any kind of string will work, and you can hang that in your window. So this is the first type of sun catcher that we're making, but again, it does take several days. So while I was waiting for this to dry, not really knowing if it was going to work, I started researching other ways to make a similar sun catcher using a different supply. So that's where our contact paper is going to be used. So you're going to take 2 pieces of contact paper, and you're just going to cut it to the shape that you would like. So I really want it to be a circle. So I'm going to take a lid or any bowl or something like that, and you want to draw a circle with your pen on your contact paper. Then you can take your scissors and you can cut that out. This can be whatever shape you would like it to be. So I chose that circle. Now this step is probably the hardest, and then just take your time because you want to peel apart the sticky side from the paper backing here. So sometimes this takes a little while, so just don't get frustrated. Just peel that. It helps a little bit if you have a little bit of fingernails there that you can get that, so you might have to ask somebody to help you with this. But once you get it going, then you can see that our clear sticky part is being pulled off from this backing. And now we have our sun catcher base. And we're going to do the same process we did with the glue. We're going to stick our flowers to our contact paper, and we want them again as flat as possible. So take off any stems that are sticking up so you can flatten that out. So I'm going to add flower here. You can add some clover whatever you like, and go ahead and stick that right to your paper. Now once you have your design all laid out, you're going to take your second piece of contact paper, and this one doesn't need to be cut. You can go ahead and have it just be slightly bigger than your original one. So I'm just going to use my rectangle, and I'm going to lay it down sticky side to sticky side and press that down on top of my round piece. And then I have something like this. So you want to try to get all the bubbles out, try to really press that in. Now all I have to do is trim around my circle so there's no sticky hanging over the edge. So I just go around that so it matches up. And then you will have something like this. So this is one I made earlier with several different flowers here. Then I just punched a hole in the top and I added my thread, and I just tied a knot there. And this is my sun catcher, so I can hang this in my window. So you can do a variety of sizes. I made a smaller one here, and you can just experiment with making several different ones to hang, and it really does brighten up your room. It's fun to learn about the different flowers and plants you have in your backyard that you maybe didn't know about. So take some time, get outside today, really enjoy Earth Day, and make this fun sun catcher. I hope you will join me again next week when we continue our online programming. Happy Earth Day. Bye-bye.